Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I'm Kelly Martinez, the Sheriff of San Diego County, and I'm joined today with Supervisor Joel Anderson. We appreciate you joining us. We wanted to talk a little bit about fentanyl enforcement in San Diego region. By 2020, most Americans began to understand the threat that fentanyl was posing to our communities. There wasn't a family that wasn't touched in some way by this threat. This synthetic drug is highly toxic, and just a small amount will kill. Law enforcement in San Diego County began working to educate the public, enforce existing laws, and spread harm reduction strategies, including the use of naloxone more widely. When children as young as 13 years old began dying from the drug, we knew we needed to act with more urgency. Deputies now distribute naloxone, which is a life-saving medication that can reverse the effects of an opioid overdose to anyone who takes it. We leave it behind on calls for service where we believe there may be a need. Naloxone is distributed in our jails, and deputies carry it for quick use. We have been conducting community education and outreach at events and in our local schools. Monies have been committed to continue that outreach via billboards and commercials. And enforcement efforts target dealers, and every fentanyl death is treated as a homicide following clues to identify who sold the drug to the victim of the overdose death. We form task forces, and in partnering with San Diego County District Attorney Summer Stephan, have successfully prosecuted individuals who have caused the death of another. Laws have been tightened, which strengthen our ability to charge people who use and sell the dangerous drug. In 2022, we began to recognize a gap in our enforcement efforts. To successfully investigate dealers of fentanyl, we needed monetary resources to use in an undercover capacity to purchase the drug, to pay overtime, and to support information gathering methods. As a sheriff, I'm committed to doing everything possible to get fentanyl off the streets and to make those responsible for selling and distributing this dangerous drug accountable for their actions. Deputies are assigned and work with our federal, state, local, and tribal partners, as well as the County of San Diego. Thanks to this teamwork, we are making great strides. According to the CDC, estimated deaths from fentanyl declined significantly in 2024, falling from approximately 76,282 in 2023 to 48,422 in 2024. That represents nearly a 37% decrease in fentanyl deaths. Here locally, we see similar drops. According to the San Diego County Medical Examiner's Office, preliminary accidental overdose deaths involving fentanyl indicate an over 30% decrease in 2024 compared to the 749 reported in 2023. This is a promising statistic because it translates into lives being saved as a result of our multi-pronged approach. I'm grateful for the support from our federal, state, and county leaders. In 2023, the Sheriff's Office was awarded $1 million from the state of California through Senator Brian Jones to combat the fentanyl epidemic. In addition, as a result of the leadership of Supervisor Joel Anderson, the San Diego County Board of Supervisors allocated $500,000 toward fentanyl investigations. These funds have supported our operations in the region. The Sheriff's Office manages these funds, and they have been made available to our federal, state, and local partners, specifically to combat fentanyl in the region. This isn't just a sheriff's problem. It's a regional problem, and we understand the need for a regional approach. The money we have received supports programs where we intercept, interdict, and prevent the distribution of fentanyl on our streets. Since our fentanyl enforcement program's inception, nearly 2 million fentanyl pills with an estimated street value of nearly $21 million have been removed off San Diego County streets. Let me emphasize that. With a $500,000 investment the county has put towards fentanyl enforcement, the Sheriff's Office and its partners removed nearly $21 million worth of fentanyl from our streets. We plan on continuing to drive enforcement efforts to remove the illicit fentanyl from our streets, and during our enforcement operations, our success with removing opioids and other threats to our communities did not just stop with fentanyl pills. Our operations removed cocaine, heroin, oxycodone, and other addictive pills. As collateral, 11 weapons were also seized during the inception of this program. This includes 3 handguns, 5 shotguns, and 3 ghost guns. As part of my commitment to holding criminals accountable, the Fentanyl Abatement and Suppression Team, or FAST, as well as our tremendous task force partners, including the Border Crime Suppression Team, Narcotics Task Force, High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, partners all made 59 arrests, 41 state arrests, 2 misdemeanor state arrests, and 16 federal arrests. While it is a tremendous feat to see the collective efforts of enforcement, harm reduction, and education contributing to a significant decrease in fentanyl-related deaths in our region, we must still press hard to combat this crisis and to protect as many lives as possible. Supervisor Joel Anderson has been a tremendous champion of combating fentanyl. Because of his similar commitment to protecting our neighborhoods from the harms of fentanyl and other opioids, the leadership of our county CAO, Ebony Shelton, for identifying resources, the Sheriff's Office is receiving an additional investment from the County of San Diego to press further and continue dismantling these harmful drugs from our community. Now I'd like to introduce County Supervisor Joel Anderson, who will speak on his commitment to public health and safety by going after fentanyl. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I just want to say, when I first got elected 5 years ago, Chairman Nathan Fletcher created a task force, a subcommittee on this board to address fentanyl abuse. Actually, it was opioid abuse and how we were going to address it. And we made great inroads, and you can see that this is really positive, and I'm very pleased. First, I want to thank our San Diego County Sheriff, Kelly Martinez, for the incredible work she does in being such a champion with her deputies. You know, my district is the epicenter of opioid abuse. I've met with so many families whose children have succumbed to fentanyl and addiction, and it's destroyed lives, it's destroying communities. When I reached out to the sheriff and we came up with a plan to address this with the task force, I couldn't ask for a better sheriff, better deputies to represent us and to protect us. Since 2021, there's been thousands of deaths this county related to and because of opioid abuse like fentanyl. We invested $500,000. However, what we addressed was over $20 million worth of drugs. Over 1.5 million pills. Just think about those pills not in our high schools, not in our colleges, not on our streets, not addressing our youth, and how many families and youth have been saved because they're not in the streets. These are drugs that if you use them once, you're addicted for life. It is very, very dangerous, and people can die with the smallest of dosages. You know, in my district, it's very simple. The people I represent, the 200,000 people, the 500,000 people that live in the unincorporated, we have two words for this. And those words, Sheriff, are thank you. Thank you to you. Thank you to your team of deputies. And thank you for the great work you do each and every day. You're saving all sorts of lives in my district because those 1.5 million pills aren't on the streets. That cocaine, that heroin, it's not on the streets. And our kids are going to have a better future because of it. You're not just saving our kids, but you're saving our communities. Thank you so much. And I have to do a shout out real quickly to my board colleagues who voted to make this happen. See, I can only suggest it, but it takes 3 votes, a minimum of 3 votes to make it happen. And yet everybody on my board voted in support. And so when I asked the board this year to renew that commitment, to keep this great work funded, again, they were all supportive. So kudos to my colleagues for understanding the importance of public safety and addressing real issues in real communities. I want to thank them, and again, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Supervisor, and to all of the supervisors who are supportive of this effort and public safety in our community. It's all a part of the commitment of all of us, and our commitment would not be complete without the help of our community members and all of the local, state, and federal partners. So I'm happy to take questions at this time, and we've got some folks available from my team who are happy to also answer any questions.
Are you able to describe just a little bit more about the enforcement team, what that looks like, how the funding was able to shape this team? I probably can't go into too much detail on the actual tactics used or whatnot, but just a little more about the team that it was able to fund. Yeah,
so many years ago, a fund was set up through the state of California. It's called CalMet, and that money was directly distributed to law enforcement for investigative purposes. So part of a drug investigation oftentimes includes developing information, which sometimes we pay for. We have to pay for evidence and things like that. The CalMet monies is specific to methamphetamine. We couldn't make it work for fentanyl, and as fentanyl was coming more and more on the scene, we understood that we also needed a similar fund for fentanyl investigations. So we thought the easiest way was to ask our partners at the county if they would help fund it, and also our partners at the state. And so we were lucky enough to get the $1 million through Brian Jones, through the state, and Supervisor Anderson stepped up right away and understood the need and that it would be effective, and it has been effective. A lot of the drugs that we seized were from these investigations. Some were purchased illicitly. You know, they're illicit drugs that we purchased in furtherance of an investigation that enables us to get a search warrant, which then leads us to the dealers. So that's really how it's been used.
And this team works full-time dedicated to this?
Yeah, well, the money is actually distributed to any law enforcement agency in the county that is doing fentanyl enforcement. It's only for fentanyl enforcement. So it's being used, for instance, with DEA, with our different task forces, our deputies who are doing these types of investigations. So if they have a funding need for an investigation, it pays for overtime, which a lot of times these cases go well into the long hours. And so it's just really helped us with a continued emphasis and enforcement related to fentanyl. Yep, sure. Anyone else?
What was the duration of the operation, or?
Yeah, so this is a 1-year funding source. So we've spent most of the $500,000. I think we have some of it left. So we'll continue to utilize that, and this will add to it. So it's just going to continue to be a bucket that we can use, we can draw from for these investigations. There's no time frame or time limit.